Welcome to ODP, Beyond the Trowel. I'm Shauna Alvarado, CEO of O'Donnell Plastering, and my co-hosts are...
Kayla Alvarado with O'Donnell Plastering. I cover labor compliance and payroll.
Hi, I'm Kira with O'Donnell Plastering. I'm the safety manager and I handle the IT.
Here we are going to get to meet industry professionals and hear a little bit about their story. Thanks for joining us. Good morning and welcome to the third edition of Beyond the Trowel. I am Shauna Alvarado and today we are super excited. We have a very special guest with us. Today we have the founder and president of InCourage with an I, a local GC firm here in the Bay Area. She was named as one of 2023's Women of Influence. She is setting the pace for women in the industry all around us. But not only is she a badass leader making this all work in this crazy, fast-paced environment, she's also a mom balancing work and life. How does she all do it? Or how does she do it? We want to know, and we're going to find out. So we're thank you, Chrissie Davis, for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I always feel like we need to have like a clapping audience. So let's start off with just tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you get into the construction industry? Tell us from...
Yeah. I was super blessed in high school to go to a career fair where I signed up for sessions 1, 2, and 3 and got none of them. And instead they threw me into 2 engineering classes. I didn't know what engineering was. And the first one was, the movie Apollo 13 that just came out back when I was in high school. I had watched that movie, and the first one was an aeronautical engineering course. And I'm like, oh, square peg, round hole. Okay, I get it. We're trying to figure this out. But they said, funding is up and down depending on the government. We didn't have Elon Musk doing his things back then. So then they threw me into a civil engineering class, and this poor guy was the worst presenter I've ever seen. He was super shy, couldn't stare at the crowd, but he was explaining how he was a designer for underground utilities, wet utilities. And my mind was blown. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's this whole network of systems under our feet that we use every day and you never think about it, flushing a toilet or getting water to your house. So I knew then that I wanted to be a civil engineer. And so I was super fortunate and got into engineering, but I'm a hands-on girl. So that led me to not want to sit behind a computer, although ironically that's what I do more now today than I did back then. But that got me into construction and being able to physically build something or watch it be built and be part of it is just so rewarding, as you guys know.
Right.
So.
Yes, I think we've always said that, especially, it gets so repetitive when you're driving down the freeway and it's like, oh yeah, we built that or we built it. It's like, yeah, okay, or to my husband. And the kids, I'm sure, grew up listening to that. But I think that is the beauty. You're able to say, we built that. And you're able to see, for us, we're able to see the finished product, the beautiful finish on it. But how many times, I love when you could go in and see the open cascades now to where, all the rebar or the plumbing and electrical, it's just cool. I think that's one of our, good things in the industry.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So, after high school, so where did that take you?
So I went to Loyola Marymount University and got a degree in civil engineering. I took a year between undergrad and grad and did AmeriCorps, National Civilian Community Corps. So it's it's kind of like the Peace Corps, but here in the U.S.
Oh, okay.
And it was a 10-month program, probably one of the best things I've done with my life. I was stationed in D.C., and we had a team of 10, and we traveled around Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, West Virginia, and did community service. So a little bit of everything, working alongside Red Cross to do disaster relief. They got me to be a certified chainsawyer, so I was bucking up trees after a hurricane blew them over in a state park, to working in like inner city D.C. with kids that would come to school. One kid would come to school just really down. Oh, what's going on? Oh, my dad's back in jail, and just things you aren't prepped for as a 20-something kid. So It's actually where I met my husband, my now husband.
okay.
He was on my team. And so I'm a huge fan of the program. If I could do a whole podcast just on that. But after that, I went to Stanford, got a master's degree in construction engineering management, and then jumped out into the field. And so started in commercial construction with Pinko, Charles Pinko Builders.
Oh, okay.
And got literally boots on the ground. I was a field engineer helping direct. We had self-performed concrete, so I was the one ordering the concrete trucks and like, oh my God, I think we need about maybe a half yard more, and just stressing out and all the things. So did that, burned out a little bit from commercial construction and found residential construction, and that's really where I found my home.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Well, good. That's an exciting story.
Yeah.
Good for you. Okay, and I do know that you're very involved in the community. You know, I follow you on LinkedIn, and just amazing stuff going on. But I did read, I don't know where, but recently, because you also helped organize a whole block, party and with bunch of stuff. I mean, I know we always have our neighborhood watch, but that was very exciting. So, yeah.
We need more community just in general, right? So I feel like my husband's Colombian, and in the Latino culture, people are around people all the time, and sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming for me, and there's such a need for it. And I feel our culture is so siloed that we're all battling some type of loneliness often. Right. And so pulling together events like that just
absolutely
help bring us out of our shells and get out from behind the computer or cell phone and actually interface with people.
We do. We need more, love, kindness, more peace. We always say, what if everybody could grant like world peace, right? But, just even, we don't like to get political, but I mean, even just with political and the back and forth, it's like, we just need to all get along and have more barbecues. So what inspired you to transition from being the president of a well-known construction company in our area to starting your own business? And actually, we could also key in on, what are you doing? Tell us about your new project and venture.
So my new company is InCourage, spelled with an I, and it stands for Integrity, Collaboration, Regularly Achieving Goals Effectively.
Wow.
And I'm a big believer of those principles, and in that order. I feel like our industry is so focused on the product and just production, schedule, budget, just go, that often that integrity and collaboration piece just fall off. And so when you put those first, it should help drive success more fluidly. So my company's, we're still shaping exactly what we're tackling. I'm getting a lot of people interested in possibly working with us. So I'm trying to figure out exactly where our niche is going to be. But really, what got me to this point, there were, if you had asked me back in January of this year, I thought I was going to retire with my last organization. And I learned, kind of February, March, that I'd hit a bit of a glass ceiling at the organization I didn't know I was going to be hitting. That coupled with, I reread the book Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg.
Right.
And she had a quote in there. It was a commencement speech that she had given. And it said, okay, women, I'm talking to you. Yes, you need to lean in and get to the peak of your career because other women are counting on you. And I just started bawling. And this thing, I'm like, you're talking to me. And just, just.
Shoot, I even got chills.
Yes, that book. So that happened. And then in the same breath, I had several people kind of nudging me saying, you should do this. So kind of all that culminated in about a 2-month span. And it pushed me to start my own. There just aren't many women-owned businesses in this space. And I feel like we're making a difference by doing this.
Yeah, so congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
And how was the support system? I assume your husband said, go for it.
Yeah, he,
let's hope.
He was so excited. He's like, we could do this together. And I'm like, kind of want this to be mine.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so that was a whole conversation, but he has been so wildly supportive to the point where he's like, you need to go to this and go to that. And so he's the one taking care, of the kids when I'm networking in the evenings or whatever it is. So he's been amazing. The outpour from the community, from the industry, has been overwhelmingly touching. Just everyone offering anything from, hey, do you want to work out of my office, to here's some leads, to would you like a free ticket to this networking event, to
nice.
There's been so much to some major industry clients that have been reaching out and saying, hey, I want to possibly work with you, let's talk. Just things I hadn't expected. So it's been
and
amazing.
I think that's exactly, by you sharing, your core values, how you want to perceive yourself, and what your, the integrity that you're carrying on and want to succeed.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. They would be silly not to, right?
Thank you.
Absolutely. So what were some of the challenges, which I'm sure you're still facing, maybe from your time as when you were president to what, now today's time, and how do you apply those lessons with your new company? What have you learned?
Yeah. So, it's all perspective, right? So challenges could be anything from, man, it's so hard to line up work just perfectly so teams can fluidly, run from one job to the next and not overwhelm your team and not have too many lulls, to, there's some more like challenges of, your heart almost, when you have staff members that are going through some unbelievable challenges, whether it's going through a divorce or going through deaths in the family or facing cancer or I had one staff member where his family was stuck in Sudan in civil unrest, and just there's things that that's almost harder for me. The rest of it you can kind of methodically work through, and there's some check boxes for those things. There are no check boxes on how you deal with staff dealing with major unrest, and so how do you keep everything moving forward and everyone focused and be super empathetic and try to work with this, situation at hand, and try to, help support them while still running a business.
Right.
So,
because that's new.
Yeah.
I mean, you were not trained to be, how's it going, and really, where I think a lot of us lack that.
Yeah.
I myself, I think that's probably one of my biggest challenges, is having, the empathy to be caring. I mean, I like to say I am, but you're drilled to where it's like work, and how's it going? And I love it. But then there is that flip side where, how are you doing? And genuinely be like concerned, and how can we get through this together? And I'm here for you.
Yeah. And when you learn of those things, I mean, that's the stuff that keeps me up at night. Like I can work through the work stuff, but when you have a person that you've become close with that's just has a heart of gold, dealing with a major life problem, how do you help them? And how do you, that's some of the challenges I think we're always going to have, and how do you work through it?
Yeah. And so going to that, with what key leadership qualities do you believe are essential in the construction industry, especially for women in leadership roles?
Yeah. The three that come to mind are being humble, because there's too much ego in our industry, and it ends up bleeding all over everything else, right?
Yeah.
Communication, just collaboration, that whole thing, and that's 80% listening, right?
Yeah.
So, and grit, just working through the tough things when you're exhausted and still push forward. And I think especially for women, women hold a lot of grit, but I think they're also so hard on themselves that it's a different element of grit where you have to get over your own head and heart and brain just trying to push forward. So I think especially for women, we have a lot of the communication side, listening first, truly listening. Yeah. And I think in general, women are good about keeping their egos aside so that we can work through things and not put ourselves forward.
Right.
But I think in the industry, there are too many leaders that aren't holding those elements.
And you had mentioned, and I read it. I did some research. Yeah, and you mentioned earlier Sheryl Sandberg, right? And I don't know if it was in her book or a quote that you had said that when you're asked to sit at the table, you automatically take that. You don't say which seat. And you said if it was a rocket ship, are you going to ask which seat you take? Just get on it and ride the journey.
Yep.
Because I think as women we tend to question ourselves. Am I qualified? Am I capable of, what do I bring to the table?
Yep.
And we need to just, take that leap and
go.
sit.
Yeah.
Yes. So and make sure I also, believe what do you bring to the table?
Yeah.
It's like I'm sitting here, but I also can, do so much more. And so
I love it.
And going back to that, there's so many new trends, new things going on in this industry that we're in. What major trends or shifts have you seen in the construction industry over the past year, decades?
Yeah, I think, I have seen way more diversity in the construction industry, which is super refreshing. I think it's taking a while for it to permeate up to the top. I think there's still a lot of the top, I guess, in our industry that is lacking diversity, and it's gonna slowly term out. But I think watching this trend of women joining, people of all backgrounds starting to find the construction industry, that's empowering. I do think, I hope that we continue to explore new technologies. AI has been fascinating.
huge. I love ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So much.
And just figuring out how it fits into our world. I learned the other day, there's an architecture firm that they do renovations. And if you don't have a set of plans from the old building in hand, it takes a long time to recreate, create what's existing there. I learned that there's this AI kind of camera. You can sit in the middle of the room and it'll draw the plans for you in a matter of, an hour or so.
Crazy.
And so something that would have taken days to recreate, measuring, hand measuring all these things, this camera can do it automatically. So I'm hoping we have more trends that we can adapt to and see how technology fits into our world going forward.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Definitely.
And how do you think the construction industry will evolve in the next 5 to 10 years, which I think you just touched base on with the technology, especially with the rise of sustainability and new technologies, along with centering on the diversity?
Yeah. So, sustainability, we have a lot of, California is leading a charge in general on sustainability, on being green and things like that. I think there are new technologies coming, mass timber, CLT, things like that. I think it's slow to come to the industry. Our industry is so nuanced with local codes, state codes, fed codes, fire codes, and then different uses of these buildings, that I don't feel it's really gotten, a full foothold on.
And do you think
moving
geographically
forward.
That's why? Because, when you say like mass, I'm thinking, I remember going to a convention like in Oregon, and it was just so much bigger, now that I said the question out loud, than exactly what we have in our own area.
Yeah, I think we have some challenges. We have a pretty heavy seismic zone here that is not necessarily matched in other areas around the country. So I think that plays into it in terms of these technologies. They can get, some technologies driven for the bulk of the country, and then California is kind of an afterthought because it takes that much more work to make it work here. So I think that's part of it. I think also we have a very high bar here in California. With so many different standards, fire standards, and all these other things, which is a great thing to have. And it means that we're going to be slow to adopt technology. Yeah. So I think it's coming, and it continues to try to make its way through it. But I think we just need to keep pushing forward.
Well, and again, kudos to you for even starting a business, because we always say, I don't even know if I would redo it, because I mean, there is so much more to just, code driven, paperwork driven, and everything has to be in order.
Yeah.
It's just so different from, and I hate to say back in the day, but yeah, it takes a lot now, and it's just very time consuming.
Yeah.
And just different than other areas, I think, here in California.
Yeah. I mean, I'm super blessed on that front to have a slew of consultants that are helping me
Right.
that are
Yeah,
smarter than me in
absolutely.
different areas to just help push along the way and bring
Yes.
to light something I had no
Right,
clue.
right. Where most people
about
would be
beforehand.
afraid.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I can't do that.
Yeah.
So, yes. And what are some of the key challenges facing construction companies today, and how can they adapt to stay competitive? I mean, I think a lot of us right now, we're slow, but even for us doing this podcast, I mean, I think that's setting us a little bit different than our competitors. So, I mean, how is the adaptation out there?
Yeah, the industry is slow, and I think it's going to continue to be slow for a little while we're waiting for interest rates to correct, right. And this election cycle to go through. Yeah. Budgets have been set for California that are tighter than they were before. I think right. A lot of things don't quite make sense to push a lot of these projects forward. So I think in terms of being resilient, again, putting that ego aside and taking some of those smaller projects to keep things going, I think is going to be important for a little while. Right. Whether it's, some of those rehab projects that are they take a lot of work for very little pay, but it'll keep things moving forward.
Absolutely. No job is too small.
Yeah. And I think, I do think getting creative is going to be key. So, I commend you for starting the podcast, because I think getting your word out there.
We have so much time on our hands.
Yeah, that's one way to do it. I think, exploring new technologies and figuring how it can fit into the puzzle that we live in. We still have to do some things that we know work, but taking a portion of our energy and using it in kind of exploring new things, I think could be another avenue to try to open up our eyes and our world a little bit to new methodologies or new products or
right.
Things
Absolutely.
like that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what personal habits or routines helped you succeed as a president and a leader that you aspire and continue to be? And what traits do you look for in your team?
So we were super blessed. On my last team, we actually created a book club. And I had never participated in a book club before. When I thought of book clubs, I thought of fiction books where, people would talk about, what's the message and what's the theme and all these things. And that wasn't quite for me. But this group, we're doing more like self-improvement books. Okay. And it's been such a blessing. So we actually read several books now. One of them was The Miracle Morning. Has really given me focus. Mm-hmm. So the whole point of this book is they say, you are your best self right in the morning. You are your freshest. And what they recommend is you actually step in and create a space for yourself. And it could be 6 minutes or it could be 60 minutes. It could be longer. But it's a space in the morning, right when I wake up, where it's just me. And having a 5-year-old and 7-year-old with a husband and a job, that's not easy. And so I now wake up at 5 a.m. every morning, get up and do this particular routine. And they tout that there are 6 different elements that you should be doing to help yourself in so many different ways. So it's meditation, affirmations, visualization, journaling, exercise, and reading. And so I do these 6 things every single morning, and it has been fascinating seeing how much focus it gives me. Wow. It allows me space for gratitude as I'm journaling. It allows me to read, kind of more of these self-improvement books. And it's given me just a space to find my calm and focus to move forward. And in fact, I got a notification on my watch saying that when I started this book, as I was looking back on it, my my heart rate, my walking heart rate has gone down 11 points.
Oh, wow.
Since I started this. So I think it's actually created a physical change in me.
Oh, good.
Of just finding calm and peace and gratitude and all these other elements, this focus.
Yeah.
So it's been fascinating.
What was the name of the book again?
The Miracle Morning.
The Miracle Morning.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have to, I was going to write it down, but I'm going to remember it.
Yeah.
I think books are important.
Yep.
Even Kira, she just went to the Carpenters Training Center in Las Vegas, did a whole leadership class. And the first things that were in your bag that they gave you were books, right?
Yeah, it was like 2 books. I think one was Who Moved the Cheese?
Okay.
And
that
then-
was perfect for you,
a good one.
but it
Yeah.
sounds like a good book.
And then I forget, the other one was The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team.
Oh, cool.
So 2 great leadership books.
Yeah, there's so many out there. My little teammates right here will laugh because I collect books. I wish I was a reader. One day I will be. Maybe, you're inspiring me to get up at 5 in the morning. That's a challenge in itself. But if you go into my office, I have like a whole stack of books. And every month I get a book from like this box, But I say, just reading the name of it inspires me. Like, God, I want to be that kind of leader. Or, so if I haven't quite opened it up yet, it's okay. But,
Well, maybe we'll have to start our own book club
yeah,
here.
exactly.
And audiobooks have been a great avenue. So this book club that we started, there are several people that don't enjoy reading. And frankly, it's tough to find the time to crack it open. But when you're driving or when you're, just
that'd
waiting.
be a good time to do it.
It's a great time. And so even some of our superintendents were joining and listening to audiobooks on their drive-in to work. And they were able to participate in this awesome kind of group.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Maybe we'll start with the Sheryl Sandberg, Lean In.
Yeah,
because I know
that's a good
that
one.
these guys, I think we would all enjoy that one
Yeah.
again. So what do you consider to be your greatest achievement in your career so far? And what new goals are you setting for your current venture?
Yeah, it's that's a tough question. And frankly, probably one of my favorite achievements is the fact that my last company was named the best residential contractor to work for in 2023 for a company our size. And this is by the San Francisco Business Times and the San Jose Business Journals. So to be able to create an environment where your staff is not just thriving, the bottom line was doing really well, but they want to be there and they're excited to be there. And that meant so much to me. I'd call that my greatest achievement. I'm hoping to be able to do that. If I pulled myself right now, I'd say I'm pretty cool to work for, but I need to get my team around me and I want to achieve the same.
Oh, love it. And what unique vision or mission do you have for your new company that sets it apart, which I think you said it in the beginning of that. And can you just repeat those core values that, you know?
So
I think
InCourage, integrity, collaboration, regularly achieving goals effectively. That's really, everything is going to center around that. So if someone has ego about them, that's not a high integrity. If someone's not a good communicator, that's not strong collaboration. So when those two elements fall short, it's really, they're not going to be a good fit on the team. So I think a lot of our clients are really craving those elements as well. So, in construction, it's easy to find people that can get work done in general. But when you're left at the end of the day, just feeling like, man, that was not the best customer service, or gosh, that was just horrible communication. And, it takes 50 emails to get one point across or whatever it is, as opposed to sitting down and just truly trying to connect.
Right.
I think that's really where I'm going to set, our company apart from the competitors.
Absolutely. Good
And
for
I
you.
think with the core values, if everyone's on the same wavelength and following those, then it would flow. I mean, there's going to be bad days,
Of course.
those kind of days, but if everyone believes in what your core values are, it should all flow.
Exactly. Yeah.
Make the best team.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So have there been any, unexpected challenges? I mean, and how have you overcome that?
Yeah. There's just, gosh, I have a to-do list that's like, 50 deep, right? At any given day. And so I am so blessed, again, to have so many consultants around me that are helping point me in the right direction for everything from, HR stuff and payroll to what a company's cell phone plan should look like and all the rules around that to, insurances and the banks and the bonding and all the things, right? So, and that's the behind the scenes stuff. That's not trying to get work and all of those things that we really have to do. So I think challenges is trying to strike the right balance in my own day to, one, get some work done, two, to network, and three, make sure that I'm not getting my eye off the ball in terms of those, that priority list and what I should be tackling at any given time. I think, being such a small organization, that's the challenge is trying to make sure I'm holding the priorities as best as I can, while staying sane and still, being true to myself and still being a mom and a wife and all the things.
And so you had mentioned a to-do list. And I think us as women, we love to check off the check boxes. So do you agree to that? Or, I mean, is that how you keep, organized, and how do you keep sane?
Yeah. Oh, well, that's a bigger subject. But I think, going back, frankly, the Miracle Morning has kept me sane.
Okay.
So that is where I center and kind of refocus on my priorities for the day, celebrate my mini wins from the day prior, and focus to go forward. But the to-do list is it's a live to-do list. It never gets checked because a lot of these things are morphing. So it's, here's my list of potential clients. Have I reached out and have I moved the ball forward in as many capacities as I can on each front, on top of trying to tackle insurance and bonding and banking and all the things.
Yeah.
So, my to-do matrix is ever living forward. It's a challenge.
Okay. And then I think you were next, Kayla.
Yeah. So we've actually, I've met you through NAWIC. My mom has met you through before, but I've noticed you coming to the NAWIC meetings more often. Is there any other associations or organizations that you currently attend? And I remember you mentioning your husband said, go out there, go network. So what do you do to? Yeah,
it's invigorating and can be overwhelming. All the possibilities of different groups. So, I've been part of Crew in the past. I've been part of WCOE in the past. I am actively in YOPS, Women in Construction Operations. That's been a cool group where it's, women, a lot of women that are, wearing boots and actually getting out there. That's been fun. There's, AGC, Association of General Contractors, is a pretty prominent group. There are a bunch. And then there's other groups that are more residential focused. So NPH is focused on housing, and there's a lot of other housing specific groups that I've been interfacing with. So I will say I'm not members of a lot of these organizations now that I'm off on my own. The membership fees sometimes start to add up, but I've really enjoyed interfacing with so many different groups and seeing what the energy is of each different
keeping those
group.
Connections within.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
Yeah. I think, networking is huge, and, even touching base like on YOPS and Crew, I'm a member of YOPS, but don't probably attend as much as I should. But I know NAWIC, our upcoming year, we're going to try to partner with a lot of these other groups. So I'm super excited to hear about that, because sometimes, I think YOPS and NAWIC were on the same night and we can't be at both places. So if we can partner and collaborate more with, other women in the industry, especially the ones, with the boots on the ground and us, that, we can, it could only build us and make us stronger. Yeah. So I'm excited to hear about that.
One group that I joined that has been instrumental in helping push me is called Vistage. And it's a group specifically for kind of CEO types in general. And so you end up meeting with, you have a team or you have a group of maybe 15 CEOs that sit together for an 8-hour day a month. So one whole day a month where you troubleshoot through CEO type of topics. And everyone's from different industries. And so you're getting feedback of so many different perspectives to try to work through things, because it can be kind of lonely at the top, and trying to troubleshoot through some of these really tough topics with others that have dealt with it and with so many different perspectives has been super invaluable.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. So going back to mentorship, I'm sure there's been mentors along the way as well as, mentees now. So how important is mentorship been in your journey? Maybe who are your mentors? What impact have they had on you and continue to be? And what about having, mentees?
Yeah, it's huge. This Vistage group that I'm talking about, I'd argue are some of my mentors. It's amazing how you see these super skilled and high-powered people that are so savvy and give you such amazing advice. And then when it's their turn to sit in the seat and they're going through a matter, through an issue, you can't see the forest through the trees and you're stuck in your own head. And, if they had seen the same thing that they had presented come from anyone else, they would be able to click through, you should do 1, 2, 3, ABC. And when you're dealing with it yourself, you can't figure it out. And so I think it's so important to have people in your corner. And it doesn't have to be, it's tough to say a formal mentor title, but just people to troubleshoot with, I think has been invaluable. So my husband being one of the biggest ones, my former senior vice president at my last company was such a huge partner for me. We would troubleshoot off of one another. The founder of my last company was another great role model and someone that I got to interface with constantly. And then I had I am so blessed to be surrounded by so many amazing people that I could pick up the phone and call, my board of advisors or this Vistage group or friends from back in the day that could, hey, I'm dealing with this thing. What do you recommend? Just it's so invaluable. And I've tried my best to be able to offer the same to people, especially women in the industry, because we all need an ear every once in a while.
Oh, absolutely. And I think we need to see that person that's actually doing it, actually making it. Yep. I mean, I think that inspires, not only myself, but the next generation and the younger ones coming in to be like, oh, anything is possible and we can do it. And them having strong, female role models, I think's, invaluable.
Exactly.
So thank you.
Yeah.
So if you could go back to the beginning of your career, what advice would you give yourself?
Yeah, I've thought about this question in the past, and it's tough to answer because some of all the hard things that you go through is what shapes you today, right? So grit is pretty darn key. Being able to push through adversity. I think too many of us have some Me Too stories, and I think really the grit is one thing, but then surrounding yourself with people that you can trust and they can trust you is the most valuable thing you could possibly do. Because when you are facing adversity, it ends up and you need, that extra boost. It's that group around you, that community that we talked about earlier, that you can lean on when you need it, and will pull you through hard times.
Right. Yes. Building your circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I think so networking is such a tough word. I didn't realize how valuable networking was. And I always thought of networking as self-serving. So people network to hand out their business cards and get all these contacts. What I didn't know when I was younger is that networking has turned into an area where I can help others. So I met this person over here and that person over there, and they are looking for something that they have, and I can put those two together. If I had known when I was younger that networking can actually be about helping other people, I would have leaned into it so much earlier. It would have built up my network so much faster, as opposed to just thinking, I'm not really kind of into the self-serving thing. I don't need to blast my name out everywhere. But now that I've been able to meet enough people that I can put two people together, and they can thrive because of it, that has been so rewarding.
Yeah, I love that.
And what would you say to women who aspire to break into the construction industry, especially going into the leadership roles?
Yeah, there is such a space for women in this industry, right? For the values that we talked about, the integrity, collaboration, in general, women put their egos aside and they communicate. And the industry is craving those elements. So I think there is such a space for women. And you have to have some grit because it is a little gritty out there. So to be able to push through adversity, I think those are really the elements. I am craving to have more women in the industry because we're seeing all the success that has come from having women here. And so I'd say, come join us, please, fast, hurry, come to us. So, and then in terms of rising up in leadership, read the book Lean In, because it pushes us to get over our own heads to move forward. And I think that's where we struggle. We hold ourselves back. So I think we need to do more of that.
Yes. Does Sheryl have another book after Lean In?
So she also wrote Option B, which I also read. And it was after her husband passed very unexpectedly. It was how she dealt with that. And I actually read that book after my father passed. It was recommended to me. And it helped me kind of get through that next chapter. So that was another amazing aid for me.
Yeah, she needs to come out with, a new leadership, because you keep hearing, I think, everywhere, the Lean In, and it's so, has made so many changes and differences in, people's lives. Where, personal plug to you, Sheryl, need to come out with new so we could read it and stay, motivated and energized. So I definitely appreciate your time being here. I think the three of us can mutually say we were inspired, engaged, and wanting to start a book club. I am going to get it for these girls, and, maybe we will start that new one just to keep us going. Yes, please come back with us on the next book that you said you were couldn't quite think of the name of it, because we'll add it to the podcast and
Perfect.
the lines underneath where we could share that with the audience.
Perfect.
Anything else? The floor is yours if you want to give a shout out on InCourage, or, I again applaud you for starting a venture that I know is going to be amazing. And of course, if you need plaster work, you know where to come. But, please, if there's anything else you would like to share.
No, I'm genuinely humbled by the opportunity to come chat.
Thank you.
I am super excited about InCourage. I think it is going to be industry changing, and it's been absolutely invigorating and energizing to get so much feedback from the community that seem as excited, if not more excited than I am, because I'm stuck in all the weeds trying to do all the things. So when I'm a little run down, that's right around the time that someone texts me and says I'm so excited, and it just pumps me back up and pushes me forward. So I can't wait to really just push this to be such a huge presence here in the Bay Area, in our industry, and to help change, to help just cause some change, empowering more women, more minorities to join us, because it's such a cool freaking industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think you are going to be dynamic moving forward, and you already are. I think, just following you and hearing, your story and the core values and the way you perceive yourself and the way we see you is, just spot on. And, I thank you for being here and sharing it.
Thank you.
So I look forward to your venture. And I think, yes, you are going to thrive. Anybody out there, I'm sure you could agree with me.
Thank you so much.
Anything else we want to add?
No, I loved hearing all the inspiration you had to share with us, and definitely know you'll make it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Cool. And thank you to our audience out there. If you have any questions for Chrissie, you can find her on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Heavy presence there. And you can reach out to us at o'donnellplastering.com. Give us a call. Again, we're looking for an estimator. So if you know of anybody looking out there, give us a call too. 408-988-4965. Until next time, we'll see you on the waves.
Thank you.
Thank you.